All right, good evening, and thank you for attending or joining us for the Monday, June 13th, 2022 City Council meeting for the City of Lamar. I'm Mayor Kirk Crespin. You know, over this past couple of weeks since our last meeting, there's been a lot happening in our community. A few weeks ago, or last week, we received some massive amounts of rain and hail, and I had made a comment on Facebook about how when the hail struck, it brought down so many leaves and debris and limbs and everything in the streets that it quickly poured into our gutter system, and it plugged them up, and it caused backflow and flooding. Our staff was out there in the middle of the rain up to their knees in the water trying to clear out those drains and trying to keep everything moving. But so I do want to thank them. I want to thank them for their dedication in getting out there. You know, this isn't the only situation where we've had our staff out until endless hours of the night. We also recently had a main water line break towards a couple of weeks ago that was over by Willow Creek Park. That crew was out there until 6 in the morning digging that trench, trying to keep the water service running. And it was down for a little while they were getting the repairs done. But these crew members, they stay out at late hours of the night. They, just like anybody else, they wouldn't want to be drug out in the middle of the night to dig out a pipe or to trench out in the middle of the water. So I want to thank them. I want to thank all of our city staff for doing everything that they do for our city. It's that kind of commitment that really makes our city great. So thank you. With that said, we will move on to our meeting. Start off with the invocation from Jeff Alexander. Jeff?
Thank you. Let us pray. Our Father, we do thank you for the men and women who devote their lives to keeping our city what it is. Working in the streets, working, Lord, in law enforcement, working for the fire department and all the other areas. Lord, we are very grateful for our city. We thank you for the folks that are on the council tonight that are having this meeting, and our mayor, and all of those that support the government here of our city. We ask for grace, mercy. We ask for wisdom for them tonight as they handle the business of the city, to do the things that are right for the citizens and do the things that are best, Lord, for our economy here and everything. And we just thank you for the opportunity that's ours to be here tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Anne Marie, would you lead us in the pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, the time is now 7:03 p.m. I'll call the meeting to order. Roll call.
Joe Gonzalez.
Here.
Mike Bellamy.
Here.
Jerry Jenkins.
Here.
Kurt Crespin.
Here.
Oscar Riley.
Here.
Manuel Temez.
Here.
Anne Marie Crampton.
Here.
Rob Evans.
Here.
Kristen Swartz.
Here.
Lance Clark.
Here.
Okay, we've all received the consent agenda and had a chance to look over the minutes. I did not see any bills that needed to be separated out. Were there any items that needed to be considered separately? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
Move we approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. Any final questions?
I'll be voiding check number 93975 to Joe.
Okay. All right, so that check will be voided, but it doesn't need to be separated out, correct?
It does not.
All right, with no other changes or corrections, and we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Oscar and Anne Marie?
Unanimous in favor of?
All right. The next item on the agenda is our audience participation. During this portion of the meeting, anyone may speak on any subject that does not appear on the agenda. Individual speakers are limited to 3 minutes each, and that is at the discretion of the council. Is there anybody who would like to speak to the council tonight? Okay. If you could just state your name and address.
Okay. I'm Caleb Burnett, 800 South 6th Street, here in Lamar, Colorado. And I have a bit of a concern tonight. The Lamar Redevelopment Authority Board met and did some business. We have a lot of paper for this. A big presentation was to be presented already here, and the two gentlemen have done a great job with that. Oscar asked a question, and it reminded me of the question that I had with this. I'm concerned that maybe we have skipped over some of the minute details of this that we should be concerned with. Oscar asked if there was any significance, historical significance. On page 4 of the stuff documents, they came from, I believe, Jake. That question was also asked. It's in an LRA sheet, and it asked if there was any historical significance. And it is not, it's not listed as on the state or the national, but it is a part of the urban redevelopment area. It is a part of the Lamar Historical Preservation Group. Was this presented to the Lamar Historical Preservation Unit?
Was this application?
Was there any referrals to them?
So that would be the property owner. Morgan, would you like to speak on that?
No, it wasn't presented
No.
to historical.
Okay.
Why was that not done? Also on that sheet that Jake did, he said that they would seek to follow historical integrity.
Okay.
Also, according to the pictures he showed, the diagrams, the written stuff, it showed that they was planning on replacing the windows at the bottom part, and the upper part, they were planning on putting on metal rolled roofing, raised seam, I think is what it's called. Okay, and that would cover over the upstairs windows. There was nothing said about any development of the upstairs. But it was going to be blocking off all the windows. I do not think that is a good part of historical integrity, to be covering those over with a modern roofing. I think we should have questioned that a little bit more. And I am a member of the Lamar Historical Preservation. And it didn't come. I think we need to do a better job, and that's my concern.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. Was there anybody else that would like to speak to the council on anything that is not on the agenda? Okay.
Hi, everybody. My name is Belinda Sturgis, 1001 County Road G, Lamar, Colorado, 81052. And I come to you because I've sent multiple core requests to Linda, which have been denied, and I want to just bring it to the council's attention, and so they can discuss it as a group as well. I have copies for council. What I requested was the cell phones that were supplied by the city, and I wanted copies of those bills. The original core I sent was a response with a bunch of redactions for privilege. There is no privilege because they're just phone numbers. There's a Supreme Court decision in the state of Colorado that I've attached to this documentation so that you guys will have that. I then asked for just 2 months of it because the bill that I was sent from Linda was exorbitant. It was over $1,100 for the quorum, which was excessive for what I was asking for. The time that Kristen McCrae used was about 2.5 hours. That's honestly what I was expecting, something around that range. But there were several redactions made of just phone numbers, and there was no privilege to just phone numbers. So I'm going to share these copies with you, and I just hope that you will review it and that you're made aware of it as council members. And Linda, I'll email you copies of all of this as well.
Thank you.
I just think it's important to know the core laws, and the laws are very specific when it comes to open records of government entities. I did contact the ACLU, and they went over and said there absolutely was no reason that that could not be provided. There's no reason for redaction. There's nothing in your core policy about redaction, and there is no privilege. So I just want to make you all aware of it, since you guys are ultimately responsible. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the council? And just state your name and your address.
Tommy Kelly. I live at 705 East Oak. And I just have concern over the drainage for the city of Lamar. Wednesday morning at 6 a.m. I got up, and I've got photos here. I've also contacted the two previous owners with the years they lived there. And this is the first time that this has ever happened. So, you know, I know we had a lot of rain, but within 38 years, I think there was probably a storm like that before.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Is there anyone else who would like to speak to the council on an item that's not on the agenda? All right. Seeing none, we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is our city treasurer's report. Kristen?
I have no report tonight, thank you.
All right. City clerk? Linda?
So the April sales and use tax collected in May was $396,372.67, which was up 2.3%, or $7,870.21 from 2021. The year-to-date collections were $2,043,337.55, which is up 1.29%, or $26,000.93 from 2021. And that's all I have.
Okay. Any questions for the city clerk? All right, seeing none, we will move on to the city administrator.
All right.
All right.
Coffee with Rob. Next week, or this week on Wednesday, at the pit stop. And then the following week, we'll have the CML conference, so I won't be buying anybody coffee next week. Dunkin' Donuts follows that on the June the 29th. And again, anybody wants to add it on the list, I've added a couple since we've been in there, and the list gets longer, and I have a lot of fun doing this thing, and come see me, come talk to me, and we can talk about issues. I won't promise you anything from the council, but I can let you know what's been discussed and talked about in the city. The Ark Valley Conduit, we're going to have a meeting at Otero Junior College. I know we had a recent meeting here and an update, and the next step in the they're going to teach us about the Ark Valley Conduit, give us some updates, and I'll be attending that one on Wednesday as well. Father's Day, very important day. All right, June 19th, 2022. Barbecue is good. Anything else that fathers like, go get it for them. CML conference next week, June 21st to 24th. And let's see, bike to work day. Some of us won't be doing that. Wednesday, June the 22nd, 2022, 6 a.m. at the community building. Friday with the Force on the 24th of June. You're going to have free nachos, ice cream, swim, and movie at the Willow Creek Park beginning at 5 p.m. Farmers Market starts here real soon, June the 25th, 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. I think that's Chamber of Commerce. Yes, it is. I'm looking forward to that one. The City of Lamar Employee Health Fair at Prowers Medical Center, Wednesday, June the 29th, 7 to 9 a.m. That's another part of this partnership we have with Prowers Medical Center. Really appreciate it. Projects we've been updating on. We're still continuing Anderson Street work. We've got some additional pumps and stuff that are becoming down at Washington Street. We're cleaning up a lot of debris and everything from this last week, and You know, you saw all of the hail, and there's a lot of big limbs coming down all over the place, but there's a lot of work done. Again, say thank you to all of the employees and the workers out there. They've been at it hard, and it's getting super hot out there, so we're always looking out for their safety. And miscellaneous, did you have any questions or update questions or anything else that you'd like to know about?
I would like to know if you guys have put anything on Facebook about fireworks and that if there's going, I know there's not going to be a display. I haven't seen anything on our Facebook page, and people have been asking.
Okay, well, I will definitely check up on that. I know we've put it out, but I don't know if it's visible enough on Facebook. I'll make sure it is.
Okay.
And we won't be having it, but we are looking at some alternatives here just recently. We're gonna look at some alternatives. There's these mass drones, there's laser light shows that you can do that look like fireworks, so just to let you know that we are looking into those.
Thank you.
Rob, I have a question.
Yes, sir.
I had an individual approach me and ask me about Arby's, that they were concerned that Arby's had pulled the plug on building here in Lamar.
They have not.
They told me that they heard that the ground was contaminated and that they pulled the plug.
That's
Interesting.
not true as far as, you know, we had contact with them last week. So if it happened sometime between last week and now, maybe, but we have not been told anything.
Any idea when they plan on construction?
Well, they plan it by the end of the year. They said they were going to be trying to serve by the end of the year, I believe.
Yeah, they thought maybe the first part of the year.
First, maybe January, February.
Okay.
The last conversation we had with them was that they were working on their design drawings. They had some meetings with CDOT, and there was some changes and modifications that needed to be made because of the requirements that CDOT had. So the engineers had to go back and redraw, and they were supposed to be submitting those to the city in the next week or so.
Yep.
And hopefully we'll be able to finalize those and get the permits going. But no, that's
Wonderful.
all rumor if that's the case. But as far as the real information, that's what we know, unless they're privy to something we don't know.
That's correct.
That's what we've been aware of.
Thank you.
But
Okay. Any other questions for the city administrator? All right, seeing none, we will move on to the next item on the agenda. Reports and correspondence from the council. Do we have any liaison reports from the council or correspondence we want to discuss?
I don't have any.
Mike? Jerry?
I'll repeat after what you said. I'd like to thank all the city employees for their hard work, fire department, streets department, everybody that has been out there with all this rain and stuff. Done a good job.
Okay, Oscar? No. I had two items. One was, of course, this morning, we had our monthly meeting with Karen Bryant of Pryor's Medical Center. We've been meeting monthly with the CEO of PMC with the intent of building awareness on what the city is doing as well as what Pryor's Medical is doing. I won't speak too much on it because she is here with the new chairman of the board tonight, and they'll be speaking shortly. But it is always appreciated to have that kind of rapport and relationship with our major entities in the community, so thank you for doing that. And the other part that I wanted to mention is earlier this week, or last week, we had the Emick family who reinstalled the new wheel and rotor over at the historic Lamar Depot. Of course, the windmill is a great part of the features there. The historic depot in itself is beautiful, but when we had the train, we had the water tower and the windmill, it's just so eye-capturing, you know, just as people are driving through. So it is a great addition, and I want to thank the Emick family for all their contributions on that and their hard work for the years of doing this. So with that said, we will move on to the next item. Public hearing for the special event permit for the Sand and Sage Roundup to host a beer garden during the Sand and Sage Roundup Fair. This was initiated by Linda Williams and Chief Kyle Miller. Who will be speaking on that?
We can go into public hearing.
I'm sorry?
Motion to go into public hearing.
Okay, so we do need to have a motion to move in.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to move into the public hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. So a little background, special event permits may be issued by local licensing authority like our city licensing is. Upon legal application to certain types of organizations, we can allow them to sell alcohol beverages by the drink to the general public. A special event permit cannot be issued to any organization more than 15 days in any one calendar year at a specific location. So Linda, would you like to speak more on this?
So Sand and Sage Roundup submitted their application on, excuse me, May the 9th. We scheduled a public hearing at the May 23rd council meeting for tonight. It was posted on site and in the newspaper. And other than that, I believe I'm going to turn it over to Kyle
Okay.
for the remainder.
We did get that, I recommend it be approved.
Okay.
We've not had any problems with them in the years past. I believe the majority, if not all of their members are tip certified.
Okay. Well, first off, I'll ask if the council has any questions for the chief or for the city clerk. Seeing none, is there anyone here that would like to speak in favor of this event? Thank you for going up. Please let us know your name and who you're with.
My name is Cindy Bennett. I live at 8076 County Road, MM.3 in Lamar. I am a board member and the treasurer of the Sand and Sage Roundup Fair Board. I want all of you to look because there is one change on there. On Friday night, we've asked that the beer garden remain open till 1 a.m. That is because we have moved our concert to be held after our PRCA rodeo. Rodeo will now start at 7 instead of 8, so we pushed everything back. So we asked that we keep the beer garden open a little bit longer for those people. Other than that, that is the only change that we have. So, and well, I guess then the beer garden's only open 3 nights instead of 4 because the concert is in conjunction with the rodeo now, so. And I already have a copy of all of our tip certifications to Linda, so she already has that.
Okay.
And when she says the only change, that was posted with the 5 to midnight, 5 to 1, 5 to midnight.
That was in the postings.
That was in the posting.
Okay.
The other 2 nights will be till midnight, just like always, but not on Friday, August the 12th.
Okay. Do we have any questions for Cindy? Council? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Seeing none, we'll move on to anybody that would like to speak against the application for a special event permit.
I'm Gail Burnett, 800 South 6th Street, Lamar, Colorado. I'd like to thank the city council and the city for listening. I want to share some stuff from the Lamar Ledger, which is one of our local newspapers. It was dated Thursday, April the 21st, 2022, page 3A. I haven't been able to share this yet because we haven't had any hearings. But the headline says alcohol deaths jumped by nearly 30% in Colorado in 2020. And it goes on, it was an article written by Meg Wingerter from the Denver Post. Alcohol-related deaths surged in Colorado in 2020, pointing to a need that people have to find better ways of dealing with the stress and so forth there. In 2019, there was 2,405 deaths in Colorado. In 2020, the next year, there was 3,051 deaths. And that was according to researchers at the National Institute of Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism. Some of the results of that alcohol use was liver disease, alcohol poisoning, unsafe behavior, mental health conditions, alcohol-induced damage to other organs, in addition to just the liver. Liver can also, alcohol usage can also contribute to heart disease, stroke, and certain cancers, including breast cancer. Colorado already had the 6th highest level of alcohol-related deaths in the county, in the country, excuse me, in 2019. So any increase was horrible. Alcohol-related deaths have been increasing every year since 1999, but a 30% increase is outrageous, because since 1999, their increase has only been max 5%. Now it is here jumping a huge amount. Also in 2019, about 1 in 20 teenagers or adults are believed to have an alcohol use disorder. They're unable to control their drinking and negative feelings when they can't use alcohol. 1/4 of the adults here in Colorado are involved with binge drinking. And I can't take the time to talk much more about that. Here in Colorado, only 7% of the people who have an alcohol dependency problem are trying to get any type of help. 7%. That means that there's 93% of the people who are in denial or not getting any assistance at all. People who have been using alcohol in their 20s or their teens or their 20s end up using an increased amount of alcohol as they get older. I've had I would say normally I had had the privilege of working a funeral, preaching a funeral for a person who has died. But I remember my youngest son's best friend through college and after college died before he hit 30 from cirrhosis of the liver, leaving his 2 elderly parents. He was the only child. I've done that. I preached that funeral. I also went to my uncle's funeral when I was 13 years old, and he left a 13 and a 15-year-old kid because he couldn't control his love of vodka. I've seen that. I've experienced it.
Okay, you've reached past the 3 minutes, so if you want to tie it up.
Okay. If you're an adult between 25 and 44, your rate of alcohol deaths has increased by 58% this last year. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak against the application for the special events? Seeing none, I will refer back to the council for any final questions. Any questions?
I have none.
Okay.
I would like to find out, and I know I ask you this every year, is there any way you can get someone to drive people who need to be driven home? That would be a big help.
Well, Kim Tallman is available, and you can call her, she asks an Uber.
But is there a way you guys can put that posted somewhere, or
I can
let
ask
people
Kim if
know?
she has something that we could put out there.
Okay.
We
Just-
do our best to make sure people get home.
Right,
But if they
right.
refuse,
Yeah, I understand
there isn't
that.
much we can do.
But just to put everybody's mind at ease and,
Sure. Yeah, no.
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right. With no other questions, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to adjourn the public hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Jerry?
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay, so with that in mind, our next item would be to make a decision on the special event permit. What is council's pleasure?
I move we approve the application.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the special event permit for the Santa Sage Roundup Beer Garden. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
All right, we'll move on to the next item, which is the public hearing for transfer of ownership retail liquor store license for Coronicas Incorporated, DBA Coronicas Liquor Store. We have a motion to move into the public hearing.
So moved.
A motion and a second to move into the public hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. Coronicas Inc., Corey Daniels has submitted an application for a transfer of ownership to retail liquor license. Current license is under Moncor LLC, DBA Coronicas, with Monica and Corey Daniels. This would be a change. Do we want to add anything to that, Linda?
Sorry. Jerry. I apologize, what was the question?
I just wanted to know if you wanted to add anything to the opening statements.
Corey submitted the application. He's needing to do a transfer of ownership from a partnership to a sole proprietor. He's turned in all the paperwork correctly. It was posted on site and in the newspaper according to state statute. And other than that, I'm going to turn it over to Kyle.
Okay. Chief Miller?
We did an investigation of it, but also I recommend the approval.
All right, so we have the investigation done, the reporting done, the compliance portions completed. Before we get started with Corey, is there any questions from the council before we get started?
I have none.
Okay.
Corey, are your employees tip certified?
Recently, 3 out of 5 employees are tip certified, which two of those are full-time employees.
Okay, and will the others be getting certified?
Yes.
Okay. And you'll get copies to Linda for us,
Yes.
please? Okay, thank you.
So we do have Corey Daniels here today to speak to the council, to answer any questions. Jerry was asking about the tip certification. Does the council have any other questions for Corey? Or would you like to say anything, Corey, on your behalf? In favor of?
Well, I'm a lifelong resident of North Colorado, in 1910 building, in 2002 remodeled, and we plan on keeping that building in the business responsible.
Okay. All right, any other questions from the council? Okay, thank you very much. With that said, we'll move on to anybody that would be against the transfer of ownership of the retail liquor store license.
Good afternoon again. I'm Galen Burnett, 800 South 6th Street, Lamar, Colorado. I have a concern with alcohol. I have nothing against you, Corey. But I think that we need to be concerned. We need to know what is happening. The Colorado Parks and Wildlife has prepared for boating this summer, and I'm sure that probably most all of us will show up at John Martin or sometime this summer, and some of us will be off in boats. But the Colorado Department of Parks and Wildlife says that we need to be boating soberly. Alcohol is the leading cause in recreational boating deaths. Alcohol is the leading cause. I've been to a number of family reunions, and I've seen a lot of my relatives drinking. I think probably all of you have. We need to realize that there is a price that has to be paid. Many times that's paid for by the people who are drinking. Many times it's also paid by their family, their friends. That was from the Prowers County Journal, the latest edition. That was from June the 8th. There won't be another edition out until 2 more days. Also on there is law enforcement report for June 8th of 2022. And the third report under there says an officer conducted a traffic stop in the area of Main and Crystal Street, placed a young male juvenile into custody for DUI. Juvenile, not old enough. Where did he get his alcohol? Who's responsible? The Lamar City is responsible for the use of alcohol and abuse here in our town. So I urge you guys. Mr. Daniels, I'm sure, can make money someplace other than with a liquor store. So I ask you to consider this. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, is there anyone else who would like to speak against the retail license application? Seeing none, I will defer to the council. Any questions?
I don't have any.
None. Entertain a motion then.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to exit the public hearing. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
All right, so that leads us to a decision on the application for ownership retail liquor store license.
I make a motion to approve transfer. It's
Second.
not a new business, it's an existing business, so.
Okay, we have a motion, and Anne Marie said a second, so we have a motion and a second. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Thank you very much. All right, next item on the agenda is the Prowers Medical Center update. Tonight we have Karen Bryant, the Chief Executive Officer of Prowers Medical Center, and is also in attendance with the new Chairman of the Board, Joe Spitz. Yay.
Well, thank you very much for inviting us out here. It's been a while since we've been here to do an update. So as Mayor Crespin said, we've been meeting monthly to try to come up with some collaborative projects that we can work on as a hospital in the city and just kind of keep in tune with what's happening at the hospital and in the city. Of course, the latest thing, big news out of the hospital is we just had a new board election. We had 3 positions of our 5-member board that were term limited. So we had an election on the 3rd of May. We had 1 one-year term and 2 3-year terms up for election. Joe Spitz, Scott Reed got the 2 3-year terms, and Norm Aaron's got the 1-year term. So last month was our annual meeting where we do our election of officers and do all of the things that we need to as far as notifications, locations, all of that for our board meetings, and Joe was on our board. So I asked him to join me tonight just so we could let everyone know that he's new chairman out of the hospital. Our vice chair is Ty Rushton, and our secretary treasurer is Jacob Chamberlain. So we're just glad to have Joe back. He used to be at the hospital on the board and left in 2012. So we're just glad to have him back in that leadership role. As you can imagine, with everything that's been going on, I think the last time I was here was right after the pandemic started. We've had many, many changes out of the hospital, a lot of it related to staff and services. So we've been talking every month about progress we're making, so we thought tonight would be a good time for us to give an update on where we stand with some of those things. In our clinic, we did lose several staff and the provider role as well as some of the nursing staff, but I'm happy to report we've been very successful in recruiting some of the mid-level providers, so our advanced practice providers. We now have 5 full-time family nurse practitioners and a physician assistant. Many of them have local ties here, so we're very proud of that fact as well, that we have them here. The one position that we continue to struggle with is finding family medicine physicians that want to work permanently somewhere. As many other hospitals and other industries are experiencing right now after the pandemic, many people are choosing either to leave their field early and retiring, or they are deciding to travel and do travel assignments. As a small rural community, we don't have the capabilities of doing large salaries like travel agencies can pay people, so the physicians are choosing to do travel and see the country, but we do continue to try to recruit for that. We are successful in getting what we call locum tenens, so they do at least a 3-month assignment. We do have a lady there now, Janet Basinger, who just came to me a couple of weeks ago and asked to increase her assignment, so she'll actually be here through November. So we're excited about that. We have a couple of other candidates that we will be interviewing, if not this week, by next week. So we will have a second one there. With the increase in the number of advanced practice providers we have, we just think it's important to make sure we have good resources for them, because some of them are very new and some of them are new to the area. So it would be a good practice that. So we'll continue to try to get someone locum initially, but we do continue to try to recruit for permanent. I know the other big project that everybody is interested in is our labor and delivery unit. One of the areas that we really struggled with after the vaccine mandate was our nursing staff in the labor and delivery unit. We made the decision at the end of October of 2021 that we needed to shut down the unit until we were able to safely recruit additional nursing staff so we could deliver babies with quality care and safe care. I'm happy to report that we are now meeting weekly to check on the progress. We've done very well with the recruitment of nurses. We still have some of our nursing staff that have been with us for a while that will be helping us to reopen that unit. But we also have some new grads that will be going to some training at Parkview Medical Center in Pueblo so they can get the experience quickly and they can experience many types of different deliveries that they may not get to see here. But we want to make sure that they have all of the appropriate training that they need before we turn them on their own to be able to be a part of that process. We also have some local nurses and then other nurses that have presented an interest to us in becoming OB specialized. They do have experience as nurses, but not in the OB area. So they also will be participating in that training in Pueblo. So we also have hired a nurse trainer that is a certified nurse midwife. She will be here next week, I believe. And we have an interim unit manager who has 25 years experience in the labor and delivery that will be doing training as well. So they will get the experience of doing the delivery in Pueblo, and then they will get the experience in our unit, and then they will have people alongside them until we feel like they are comfortable. About a 6-month period is what it usually takes for them to go through that training process. So we're getting closer. I don't have a date for you yet. That's one of the biggest questions that we keep getting asked, but we're getting very close.
Great.
So we've just got a couple of things that we need to tie up there, and then we should be getting closer. So just stay tuned for that. As far as projects that are going on, question that we get asked the most about is our in-house MRI project. Some people are not even aware that it's open. It has been open since the beginning of the year. We actually had substantial completion of that project in early December. So it is up and going, but that is another department that we experienced some significant turnover during the vaccine mandate. So we have been struggling to find technicians that, again, do not want to travel everywhere. So some of our staff even decided to do that. We are hearing back from some of them if they're interested in considering coming back. So we'll be looking at that. We have been able to keep all of the modalities open in the unit, but not every single day. And that again is the next step. So we did actually welcome a new grad to that department 2 weeks ago. So we're excited. We're starting to see a little bit of movement with some people that are interested in coming on board. Other projects that we have going on, our registration area is still under construction. So the old conference room that we used to have in the hospital still is functioning as registration. We're doing a complete upgrade in there for privacy of anyone who comes in to register at the hospital. We're experiencing some supply chain issues, particularly with doors, some of that type of material right now, but we're getting closer on that. It will be in the same area, but it will have a fresh look and a much upgraded look. We also are working on a project in our OR in the central sterile area, just doing some much needed upgrade on equipment and just the workflows in that particular unit. The OR suite was a new project that we did in 2014, and we just need to keep doing the upgrades. We're also looking at the HVAC upgrade throughout the facility that will increase and improve the airflows throughout the entire facility. We're in design phase with that, and then also looking, we'll be doing RFP process for our contractors, et cetera.
Great.
Pharmacy is another area that we're doing upgrades. There's always new regulations that are being thrown out for healthcare pharmacies, and so we're working on that project as well. We're working on 480-volt generator to get it automated, because all of that work now is done manually by our facilities team. And then our clinic has gotten a significant upgrade, not only with the addition of people, but we've been doing a lot of painting and refreshing in our exam rooms just throughout the entire clinic, so it's looking a lot cleaner and a little bit more modern and new. And then, of course, the labor and delivery unit, we talked about that one. We're doing some upgrading there. Some of the nursing staff is currently painting and doing some of the extra touches that they want to do to personalize it a little bit. And then the last one, just trying to work with the city on some collaborative projects with the introduction of our new providers. We're talking about doing some kind of a ice cream social or a hamburger hot dog fry, July, August timeframe, so we can introduce all the providers to the community. Talked with Gene Sobchak, the interim CEO of our High Plains, to be a part of that as well. So his providers can be a part of that and introduce the healthcare team for the community to.
Great. That's something we had talked about a while back with the council. I had mentioned about a possibility of doing a joint evening out or ice cream social type thing. So it's great that High Plains is willing to join in. I think that'll be wonderful to have the two. Yeah, great. Did you have anything else that you wanted to add, or?
I'm good. I'm good.
How you feeling on the board so far, Joe? Doing?
Had one more meeting. I
One
came
more.
tonight so I could find out all the stuff that we're doing.
Well, thank you, and thank you for coming. Council, do you have any questions for
Yes.
Karen or Joe? Okay.
Billing. Your billing sucks.
I'm sorry.
You go out and you may not get the bill for 6 months.
Okay.
Can you speed the billing up anyway?
I can certainly talk to our revenue cycle director about that, yes.
Okay, that's my,
Okay, absolutely.
by the time I get the bill, I go, what was this for, you know?
All right, I will check into that for you.
Do we have any other questions from the council?
I don't have any.
Well, I do appreciate, I know the hospital has been making some major investments, and those investments are also towards the community, because when you invest back into the hospital, of course, that adds to the services that you offer there, which helps our community. So the hospital is a very important part, just as High Plains Community Health Center is too, and we thank you for that. So I thank you for coming tonight. Thank you, Joe, for jumping on the board and serving as well, and I wish you and Scott and Morton the best.
Wait, I have another question.
Uh-oh.
Do you get applicants that come down here and say, where will I live?
Absolutely. That is a significant issue for us. With the recruitment process, you know, what we've always dealt with is we may be able to recruit a physician or a provider, but the spouse may not want to come here. So that's one thing, but housing is definitely an issue right now.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Good. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on with the agenda. Next item on the agenda is a resolution 2206-01. This is a resolution of the City of Lamar to rename South 11th Street as Thunder Drive. So I had initialized this and brought this to the council tonight. I had a discussion with Dr. Chad Krug before they had met with the CCIA, the Colorado Commission on Indian Affairs, to review their final application for the mascot. In our discussions, we were looking at what to do to help support this mascot change. And one of the things that I did was I sent a letter of intent to Chad Krug stating that I would actually be willing to put this application out to the council. And what we were doing on this is we're looking at, or I'm proposing that we change the mailing address of the school from 1900 South 11th Street to 1900 Thunder Drive. That means we would rename the streets between Yucca Drive to Savage Avenue. Can you pull that video clip up there, or the image? You'll see on the online, you can see the image of between Yucca Drive and Savage Avenue. There's the strip of 11th Street that is directly in front of Lamar School District, or Lamar High School. This would only affect that small section, and it would affect Lamar High School and one other resident or owner, which is across the street, and that's the Foursquare Church. Manuel Temez, we had spoke about this to see if that would be a concern. At the time, there wasn't a major concern. Have you had any since, or any other concerns brought up?
None.
So you can see on the screen here that it shows Thunder Drive as just the area from Yucca Street to Savage Avenue on 11th Street, just on 11th Street itself. That would change the permanent mailing address from 1900 South 11th Street to 1900 Thunder Drive for Lamar High School. The reason why I'm proposing this and the reason why I'm presenting it is because I've been asked so many times, what will we do about Savage Avenue? Savage Avenue is a city, just like any other city in the city of Lamar, that the city owns. And with this resolution, we would be changing the address, we would be changing the connecting street of Lamar High School to a street named Thunder Drive that would support their new mascot change without having to make any changes to Savage Avenue whatsoever. So that was the intent of making this proposal, and that is what we are discussing here tonight. So I will open it up for any questions, discussions of the council.
One question, Kurt, now, right there at the end of Yucca Drive there, is it going to remain South 11th for the apartment complexes and the housing development down the street?
Thunder Drive would end at the south end of Yucca Drive. So anything north of the beginning of Yucca Drive north, which would include the apartments, would be 11th Street. So this would only affect the section of the south side of Yucca Drive to the south side of Savage Avenue. So it's just that section.
And Savage Avenue is not going to change at all?
No.
So all the artwork and statues there will remain?
The city of Lamar created the student sculpture art median there. And that art median was a park. And that park was meant for the students to express themselves through their art. And it was my intention, and it is my hope that the council will support the idea that that should remain a student area, for a student park for the students to express themselves. And if that means that they choose to leave the artwork the way it is, then that would be their self-expression. So I am full support on leaving the median the way it is and leaving Savage Avenue the way it is as well. This is just concerning 11th Street from Yucca to Savage Avenue. And that's all, Thunder Drive.
I have no more questions, thank you.
Thank you. Any other council members?
I make a motion we accept it, this name change.
Okay.
Second. Does that need to be like approve the resolution itself? Approve the resolution.
Well, whatever, approve the resolution.
So is that a modification of your?
Yes.
Okay. So I have a modification of the original motion and a second to approve the resolution 220601 to keep or to change the name of 11th Street from Yucca to Savage to be Thunder Drive. All right, all those in favor, or are there any final questions before we vote? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Joe and Mike?
I did vote.
So we have a split vote. Well, we have unanimous in favor of, with Councilmember Temez abstaining.
Okay. So the motion passes. Okay. So we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the Approve changes to non-regulated drug and alcohol testing program and Department of Transportation drug and alcohol testing program policies. This was initiated by the head of our Human Resources, Margaret Saldana, and our city administrator.
Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Good evening, council. So I hope you've had an opportunity to take a look at the two drug policies that are in your packet. If you haven't, I'm here to kind of just highlight some of the changes that we made. Myself, Chief of Police, Kyle, and City Administrator, and also Pat Mason, our Director of Public Works. We had a group of folks that looked at both policies for clarity and also, so like I said, there's two policies. One governs the non-CDL drug and alcohol employees and the CDL drug and alcohol. So they are different but similar in both ways. So the big change that happened was now, because we, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Association has now changed the drug panel to include MDMA or ecstasy. We are now including that in the policy, on both policies, so our employees are aware that it's not just 5 of the controlled substances, that the regulated substances that will be tested for, but the 6. The other major change was with, not so much with the DOT, the CDL DOT drug policy, but more clarity with the non-CDL drug and alcohol testing policy in regard to lost my train of thought. Post-accident testing. There was a lot of confusion with that post-accident testing with the old policy, and I think we've finally got it right. Don't you think, Rob? Lance, I forgot to also mention that Lance had a big part in reviewing the policy, as well as Sam Light, our SRSA director, our SRSA attorney. So everybody has had an opportunity, several in the room have had an opportunity to look at this policy. Anne Marie looked at it, Kirk has looked at it, and I think we finally have it right. It's, both of them are pretty lengthy, but I think we're there. Is there anything else you want to include?
No, the goal was to minimize the differences in the confusion. We're trying to get similar things together to be similarly tested. But yeah, it needs to be updated, especially if things above us get changed. We need to make sure that we're following as quickly as possible.
So I'm here to ask you to adopt both the policies, and once it's adopted and approved, a new copy will be given to each of the employees for them to acknowledge that they have received the updated policies. Sorry, I'm just tired. Any questions?
There's no major changes from a previous policy.
Just on the drug panel screening, and also, like Rob said, the clarification on the post-accident testing. It's a little murky on the non-CDL.
But now,
It's good.
I think we know what to do if they're having an accident and what needs to be present for us to get it, to initiate it, so.
Where do they go for this testing?
Here.
We have certified drug collectors that are part of our
So the
staff.
city of Lamar is testing their own employees.
Yeah. There's a procedure that it ensures that chain of custody and, most other cities do the same thing. So you can hire a third party, but it's extremely expensive, and we have the rules that are allowed to do it.
I'd like to get a copy of those rules.
Okay. But on these ones here, for the testing policy that we're looking at, are there any questions from the council? Anything you want to add there, Rob or Lance?
No, I went to CIRSA as well as myself. I know I think Sam made a lot of initial changes to it to be in compliance with statutes, and I think that was important for kind of catching up what our policy was. And then I think it's also important that they be somewhat uniform amongst them, and so there's not confusion between the two of them. So I think those objectives are met, and I think it's a much better policy than it was.
Okay. All right. What's the council's pleasure?
I move we approve both.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve both non-regulated or regulated drug alcohol testing policies. Is that correct?
The non-CDL drug and alcohol testing.
Non-CDL.
policy, The CDL
Yeah,
drug
this-
and alcohol testing.
All right, is that, we have a motion and a second. Any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay.
Thank you, Margaret.
Next item on the agenda is a request for extraterritorial water and sewer services. This is initiated by Patrick Mason, our Public Works Director. Pat?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. I just wanted to add that Prowers Medical Center wants to wait 5, 10, 20 years before they send me a bill. I'm perfectly okay with it. Don't worry on my part. So, staff has received a request from Sarah Jar for water and sewer service for a single-family residence located at 6555 Rodeo Drive, Lamar, Colorado. Since this residence is located outside the city limits, it requires an extraterritorial water and sewer service agreement to be approved by council. Staff currently, or City of Lamar Water Wastewater Department offers those services to that same neighborhood currently, so we have no objection to council.
Okay. So no major investments to provide this service?
No, actually, all the infrastructure is in place.
Okay. All right. Any questions from the council?
I see, I got one question. I see on number 11 here, on the ordinances, she had a chance to, or got a copy of those ordinances, explaining those ordinances, number 1022, 963, and 872.
Normally, I don't hand out those ordinances to people, but I do tell them to carefully read it, because basically they're agreeing more or less to be annexed in joint paving districts, so I highly encourage them to read it and understand it. If they want more material, I'd be happy to provide it to them, but it's not something I normally hand them. I mean,
That's all I would
guess
ask, if
could
they know what they're
hand
getting,
it out.
what they're agreeing to.
Right.
Yeah. And she's already signed this and accepted it, so this is just the acceptance of the city now at this point.
I move we approve.
Second.
Okay. I have a motion and a second to approve the extraterritorial water agreement. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. Next item is the approval by council of the 2023 budget calendar. Of course, every year we prepare the budget, and this time of the year, our city treasurer begins to schedule that.
I do, yes. So I have tried to update all of the dates, kept it similar to what we've done in the past. Rob and I sat and looked at it together. He's new to our process, so I wanted to make sure that he felt like it was the direction he wanted to go with it. So I look forward to working with him on this year's budget. We've got some dates in there for some work sessions with council. The process starts for us in July. We have to have a draft to you, the first draft by October 1st. So the calendar also follows the state rules as well. They have state dates that we have to meet. And so those are also included in this calendar. Charter has some specific things that are specific just to the city of Lamar. Those are also incorporated into this calendar. So I'm just asking for your approval so that we can start the process.
And as the council can see in the calendar here, of course, throughout July, the city administrator, the department heads, and the treasurer will all meet and go through their budgets. And by the end of the month, they'll have a preliminary revenue estimate for 2022.
That's great.
And we will meet at the first part of August, and it has it on August 1st for a workshop where we'll give them direction and we'll discuss it and review what they've done so far and move on from that point. They'll do some more adjustments, they'll come back, we'll have another workshop, and we'll have some more proposed budgets. So we'll have 2 reviews there, and then we'll have the official introduction into the year 2022, where we'll get it published for the hearing and ready for the council to approve. So the council will have 2 options or opportunities to give input directly. But in the meantime, the staff will be working to narrow everything down and hammer it out according to what we've done in the past. Is that
Yes, that's
good?
correct.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure the new council members kind of had a feel for what the process would be and when they would have an opportunity. So, okay. All right, so sounds like now it'll kind of get busy. October is a very busy month. We'll have quite a bit to do in
We have a
October.
lot finalized by then, and
Yeah.
we have the public hearings, and we pretty much have the budget, developed at that point for the first reading of the ordinance and for your approval. So by that time, a lot of the input is done. We try to take your recommendations and go with it and get it into the budget and get it balanced. It's my job to get it balanced with the revenue. So
Okay.
we started doing that and having something solid to look at by October.
Okay.
Christian, thank you for the handout here. It's very helpful. I appreciate that.
Are there any other questions for our city treasurer?
I move we approve the budget calendar.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve the budget calendar. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
Okay. The next item on the agenda is an executive session for discussions of personnel matters under Colorado Revised Statutes, Section 246402, subsection 4, subsection F, for discussion with the city administrator, which includes a salary survey, and for discussions of an evaluation for the city attorney. We will be having decisions after this executive session, so if you'd like to stay and wait for us to come back out of the executive session, you're welcome to. We're going to put a pause on our live stream for a little bit, and as soon as that we are returned back, we'll release that pause off of our live stream. But as of right now, we just need a motion from the council.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to enter into executive session. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
We will return here shortly. We'll go into there. Yes. Okay. Thank you for being patient with us on this executive session. The city council had some things to discuss concerning a salary survey. I'd like to give you just a little bit of background on that before we move forward. It doesn't look like it's the image, up there it is right there. The city council understands that with the recent wage increases and the changes in our economy, that it's made it very difficult for our employees. And we value our employees very much. We want to make sure that we try to give them the best opportunity possible. So last fall, knowing this, the city council chose to budget funding and set aside some money for a consultant to come into the city of Lamar, work on reviewing all of our job situations, the placements of the different positions, the salary ranges between low, medium, and high, and compared that statewide along with all the benefits that the employees get. And that consultant compared it statewide with other cities that are similar in size or geographically in our area. And what we were trying to do was make sure that our staff was getting a competitive salary. Now, this may not affect every employee in the city. It may only affect a few, but nonetheless, we want to make sure that our employees are have the opportunity to make money that is competitive salary within our area. So that was the discussion in our executive session, was to review the salary study and to review the recommendations from the consultant, as well as from our city treasurer, our city clerk, and our city administrator, who have worked diligently with our department heads. And so now that's what we had discussed during our executive in general. So with that said, we do have a few decisions that we would need to make and discuss within the council. First off, let's talk about that salary study. Did we have any questions on the salary study and the recommendations from the city administrator? Did you want to add anything, Rob, or?
No. We had a good discussion, and this is how we protect not only our employees, but the services that we provide to the citizens. So this is how we do it.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion to implement our proposed pay structure from our salary study.
I'll second that.
And the recommendations from the,
And recommendations.
just making sure we had it all covered. All right, so we have a motion and a second to implement the salary study results and the recommendations as given. Are there any final questions? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
The next item on the agenda is, now that we've accepted the salary study and the recommendations that are given, when do we implement this?
I make a motion we implement it July 1st.
I'll second.
Okay,
Don't vote on the, you'll have to just do it like this.
so we'll need to do this manually without voting on the buttons. But since we have this as a separate question, we have a motion on the table to implement these beginning July the 1st, the new salary structure and the recommendations. Rob, did you want to add anything? Or are we good?
That's this is good.
Okay. Well, I know, before we vote, I want to say thank you to Linda and Kristen especially, because she kind of crunched the numbers and did a lot of work, and the same with Rob, working on this, so to be able to make this happen. But all those in favor signify by saying aye. Oh, do we signify by saying aye, and I don't push the buttons? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion passed unanimously.
I'd like to give a big thanks to our parks, to Pat Mason, who helped out with that as well. He played a big
Department
big role in that.
Great, thank you. All right, the last item on the agenda is the executive session. We also had a review and evaluation of the city attorney. The city attorney is a contract position, and once a year, we have the contract up for renewal. So the council needed to, and my understanding is that it's on an auto renewal if we do nothing. Is that correct? And so the council did the review of that contract, the terms, and what is the council's pleasure?
Make a motion to auto renew.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to auto renew the city attorney's contract for another year. Any final questions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Manuel?
Unanimous in favor of?
All right, thank you, Lance, and thank you for all you've done for the city, this, especially this past year. I know it's been a challenge, so thank you for all your work on this with the city. Last item, miscellaneous. Do we have any miscellaneous items that we need to take care of? Any questions that need to be answered? I didn't see any major questions on Facebook, so.
I got one
Okay.
for Pat. Are you gonna put riprap or something in the park
Yes.
on that wall that washed out?
Yes.
I know today's been a little lengthy, but we wanted to let it dry out a little bit before we got trucks on the grass side. But I was looking at it today, and I may have to actually approach it from the creek side to get something in there before any more of the caves off. But we're gonna rip wrap it and then cover it with some topsoil.
Okay, that's all I had.
That'll get done this week at some point.
Great.
I do have one more thing, and I know it's a nagging thing because I bring it up every year, every summer. With the yard sale people, they have got to stop leaving their signs after their yard sale's done because the trash is all over the neighborhood and it's not fair to us. 6th Street is the worst, that they leave them on the corners and then before you know it, they're blown into our yard. So what can be done with that, Kyle?
They can't push them. Right now, there's an ordinance against it.
Okay, because there, and I'm sure there's still some down there if you go and look, or have your officers or code enforcement, but they're just leaving them on the street corners, and when the wind blows, which, you know, we hardly get wind, but it's all over the neighborhood, and it's not fair.
In the beginning, so
Okay,
it doesn't matter if they put them there and leave them, they're illegal in the beginning.
okay,
When they take a cardboard box and sit it there?
It's also not.
yep,
Okay.
yep.
Okay.
Guess it's easy to figure out who violated it.
Yeah, because their address is on there.
Yeah, their address is on the box.
Well, can we, have you already talked to code enforcement about that, or?
You can speak to them at least once a week.
Okay,
Go out and contact people and tell them go read them and stuff.
okay.
Can we put that out on Facebook maybe? Do people know that? That's-
Yeah, we can probably do a public service announcement, just reminding people that have yard sales that it's against the law to hang these signs.
Get Sarah to do that more.
Yeah, and,
She's here.
is there, if you can, are there any guidelines or anything else? I mean, it's just not, they're not able to do it at all, right?
Right.
Okay. Or we could do something along the lines of, what are the proper ways to market or advertise your yard sale?
Online.
Maybe that would be the best way to do
You can
it.
advertise online.
Yeah, so anyhow, that might be a good solution.
Thanks.
Okay. Any other miscellaneous items? Seeing none, what is the council's pleasure?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Against, same sign.
Unanimous in favor of?
All right, thank you very much, and thank you for joining us this evening. We look forward to seeing you at the next meeting.